Hi everyone, today I'm going to teach you about scientific notation. Today's learning targets are, I can represent and rename powers of 10. So remember that's what we did yesterday. Powers of 10 are things like 10 squared, which is equal to 10 times 10 or 100. I can multiply a whole number or decimal by a positive power of 10. So that's the powers of 10 that we studied yesterday, like 10 to the second power, 10 to the third power. And last one is I can write a whole number and decimal in expanded notation. So that's actually a review from what we learned way back in Unit 1. Let's start off with a quick review of expanded notation. Remember that when we use expanded notation, we will be writing each place value as its own separate part. So if we started with the numbers, say 236, we can write this in expanded notation as 200 plus 30 plus 6. Okay, remember how to do that? Now, on a piece of paper, I want you to try this one. Let's try the number 514. Okay, hit pause and take a moment and do that. $514 is 500 plus 10 plus 4. We can also write decimal numbers in expanded notation. So let's take the number 93 and 1400ths. Each place value still has to have its own part. So we're going to expand that number. So we're going to write 90 plus 3. That part's easy. And then we have to use the 1/10. So we're just going to write 1/10, 0.1, and then this one here, the 4, is in the hundredths place. So I'm going to write 0.04. Okay, now I'm going to give you one to try. Try this one on your piece of paper. 12 and 567 thousandths. Hit the pause button while you do that. Okay, this is what you should have gotten. 10 plus 2 plus 0.5. If you just write 0.5, that's okay too. Plus 0.06 plus 0.007. Is that what you got? If so, great job. If not, try one more time. Okay, now let's actually move into the scientific notation portion. The expanded notation was just a review, and that's going to help us out in just a little bit. When we do scientific notation, it's basically a way of writing really, really big numbers or writing really, really small numbers. Okay, so we could take the number, say 5, and then times 10 to the 6th power. When we're using scientific notation, this is basically how it looks. So we're going to have something that is going to end up being a really big number or a really small number. Okay? The first number is anything, it has to be somewhere between 1 and 10, but it can't actually be 10. So it could be 1.1, or it could be 9.9999, and so on. But it can't actually be 10. It has to be just a single digit number, one digit number in the ones place. Okay, I'm going to erase that part because we don't really need that part anymore. And then the other part of scientific notation is you have the part here, which is the power of 10. So this tells us from yesterday, hopefully we remember, how many times we're multiplying times 10. Every time we multiply times 10, that is one place value. So if I'm actually multiplying 5 times 10 to the 6th power, I'm going to think about it like this. So I'm going to start off by writing the number 5 and then putting a whole bunch of zeros at the end. I'm going to put my decimal point in at the end just because of the way that the software works. It works a little bit more easily if I can put it in because I can show you how I will actually move that decimal point around. So I'm going to write my bunch of zeros. Okay, this is a good way to start off these problems. All right, now I'm going to make a decimal point. Okay, and I just plopped that decimal point in right behind the 5. Because remember that when you have any zeros to the right of the decimal point, it doesn't change the value of the number. Now, I'm going to multiply because I know that I have 10 to the 6th power. So every time I multiply times 10, I'm going to move one place value to the right. So watch this. So I have 5 times 10 to the 6th. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 5 times 10 to the 6th power, I'm going to put some commas in here to help me read this number, is 5 million. Okay, so remember how I told you that the numbers that you're using to multiply have to be between 1 and 10, but it can't be as big as 10. So we could even have a number say like 9.75. Okay? Now, this is where moving the decimal point really becomes important instead of just thinking of this as adding on zeros. Okay? So 9.75, let's do this times 10 to the 9th power. So this is our other part of scientific notation. And I'm going to start off by writing 9, 7, 5, and then a bunch of zeros. And I might not use all of those. Okay, I'm going to put a decimal point in. Right where it is, 9.75, and then a bunch of zeros because they don't change the value of the number. And then I'm going to look up here, I'm multiplying this times 10 to the 9th power. Every time I multiply by a power of 10, I'm moving the decimal point one place value to the right. So 10 to the 9th power is 9 place values. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, pop some commas in so that I can read this more easily. So this, then, 9.75 times 10 to the 9th is actually 9,750,000,000. Let's take a second and look at this number. It has a total of 9 place values that are to the right of where we started, okay, because we started here right after the 9. But it does not have 9 zeros. It actually only has 7 zeros. So we're not really looking at zeros. Instead, we're looking at how many times we're moving the place value over. Okay? I'm going to give you one to try. Okay, now let's try one more together. Let's do 8.3 times 10 to the 7th power. Hit pause and go ahead and try that one. So I'm just going to kind of write on those zeros. Now this time I'm not going to move that decimal point. I'm actually going to show you how I might write this on paper. So I might take my pencil and just kind of move over like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 place values. So here's where my decimal point goes now. Okay, I'm going to take a second and rewrite this number, 8, 3, and then I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros. Put in a comma, put in a comma, and we have 83 million. Okay? So really we have 7 places that are to the right of where we started off with our decimal point. All right, that's really the end of the lesson part. Let me give you the questions for the quiz. Work these out on a piece of paper, and then you can put your answers into Edmodo. Okay, your first problem, number 1, 3 times 10 to the 4th power. Second problem, 6.1 times 10, 6.1 times 10 to the 6th power. Third problem, 5.92 times 10 to the 8th power. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to rewatch the video if you're confused or need extra help. Have a great night.